3-guard lineup all the way down the stretch. It is a great day to be a Tar Heel. Folks, come on in to this live postcast with me and Pat Kilby. We're going to unpack this game for you. We're going to take your questions. All of that coming right up on Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Wednesday, January 4th. We are live just about 20 minutes after Carolina wraps up an 88-79 victory over Wake Forest. It took all sorts of guys jumping in, some big play in the second half, defense turning it into offense. We got a lot of great stuff for you. And so Coach Pat Kilby is right here with me. And what we're going to do for you is what we always do in this postcast. We're going to give several takes from ourselves. And then after that, there's all sorts of great stuff already going in the chat. Thank you for everyone who is already adding to that. And so we'll get to those questions in just a little bit. Pack, great to be with you. Feels like Carolina might have found something there. What are some of your biggest takeaways from this win over Wake Forest?
It really does feel like maybe we turned a corner. To me, I thought our tempo was really good today. And that was, one of my first early takeaways was I thought we got out in transition really well. And even if we didn't score off of it, we were at least attempting to get the ball down the floor quickly. Nothing's there. Okay, now we can run our offense.
Yep.
Another takeaway was Leaky had an amazing first half. Wake was going to try that. Let's not guard him and let's help out on Armando. Yeah, and Leaky said, "Think again." And so that to me is huge that he was doing.
I love that he punctuated it. Like what got the career high was that steal and dunk in the final minute. That was just poetically perfect justice there. Anyway, keep going.
Absolutely, yeah. And it was great to see that. And then I think the takeaway we all have is, if you watch the game, was, holy cow, Seth Trimble can really play, and we need him to play more.
Yep.
And now we're all going, why wasn't he playing more?
Yeah.
But what he did tonight was, quite honestly, to me, the difference in the game with just his scoring, but maybe, not to be overlooked was just how well he guarded the basketball defensively and even rebounded pretty well too. So to me, that's the takeaway, is that he can help us very seriously down the line.
Hey, Pack, guess who led the team or tied for the team lead in blocks?
I'm going to guess Trimble.
It was Trimble. Seth Trimble and Justin McCoy both had 2 blocks to tie for the team lead. Brilliant. Great point there. I love it. Man, a couple of them for me, some of these takeaways is the first thing is what I want to talk about is the biggest thing for me. For those of you who were dialed in on Wednesday's show, you heard me talk about, I feel like there's something missing from this team, that missing ingredient that hasn't been found yet. It's similar to when Manic came into the starting lineup last year. What is that? All offseason long, one of the things you and I talked a lot about was our anticipation to see a 3-guard lineup. Well, I didn't even honestly mention that on the show today in asking that question, but I should have. So Hubert Davis checks in Seth Trimble with 14:09 left in the game. Armando Bacot's in the middle of shooting free throws. Carolina's down 56-52, and we get that 3-guard lineup of RJ Davis, Caleb Love, Seth Trimble, alongside Leaky Black and Armando Bacot. So basically the 4 starters minus Nance plus Seth Trimble, that 3-guard Baylor style lineup. They played the entire 14:09 the rest of the game. That is massive. And perhaps that is the thing. Maybe that's the missing piece, is something you said to me, Pac, just before we started recording is, hey, Pete Nance came to Chapel Hill to win and to go to the tournament. He's somebody that is going to be deferential enough where if it makes more sense for Seth Trimble to step into the starting lineup and just go with that. I mean, they were vicious defensively in the second half. If that's the thing, then Pete Nance will gladly say, you know what, I'll go take a seat on the bench and I'll come in just a little bit. The second thing I want to point out, this is one of the coolest things about North Carolina for me. RJ Davis, with his slow first half, finishes off with 27, which is insane. But in the first half, RJ had just 5 points, and that was the exact 5 points he needed to become North Carolina's 81st 1,000-point scorer, the most of any program in the country. Villanova is second with 70 guys who have done it. It's an unbelievable thing, and I love to see that happening. So that's the second thing. Another kind of thing we've never seen before, Armando Bacot had 20 points for the fourth game in a row. That's the first time in his career he's been able to do that. Pack, that is super impressive. I was like going through all his game logs as the game was going on. I was like, I think this might be the first time. And it was. He had a 3-game stretch last year, but this is the first 4-game stretch. And I thought that was another big thing. While I'm talking about Mondo, they did not go to him enough in the first half. Wake did a good job of walling him off some, but Carolina just wasn't persistent enough. The second half, they did it possession after possession after possession, and I thought that was massively important for this game. And then got to mention, you've already said the career high for Leaky, career high for Seth. I thought Carolina really found something with that defense of the second half was what did it. Carolina finishes with a season high in terms of points off of turnovers. I'm looking back to find what it was. 32 is the total. They had 27 against Ohio State was the previous high. Pack, what else you looking at? Other responses, reactions?
Yeah, to me, you kind of touched on Bacot, just making sure we got the ball to him in the second half. But gosh, how much better does it seem like he's moving? The play that sticks out was when we got the deflection and the steal and the pitch ahead, and Bacot just went and flushed it. And it was like, we haven't really seen him move like that since the Final Four last year. And so tonight it felt like he was, really the last few games, it felt like he's been fully mobile again.
That's right.
And then tonight highlighted that. So to me, that's a positive and just something that stood out to me. And then, there's still plenty of questions we haven't, really dove into yet that I have. And my gears are turning back here about some of the stuff that took place tonight.
Yeah. Well, one of those would be the blob plays, the baseline out of bounds. Like Carolina struggled guarding that. Pack, you as a coach, talk about what Carolina struggles in that. I counted at least 3 times where they allowed Wake. I think there was a layup, a 3, and then Seth Trimble fouled a 3-point shooter. There might have been one other later, but those were the 3 that I caught. As a coach, what is happening there to let that fall apart?
Well, 3 times we gave up 3 great 3-point looks on the same baseline out of bounds play. And matter of fact, Lebo got pissed about it. He flew off the bench. He was fired up. And I was too, because at some point they've got to pick up on, okay, you've seen this 3 times now. You got to start to adjust to it. We just didn't do that. And so that's part of it. But a lot of times the way we guard the inbound, we struggle to get back to the inbounder because the ball is coming back to them and we're under the rim helping. And we just struggle to get back to them. And Wake Forest exposed that tonight.
They did.
And so, maybe that's an adjustment we need to make, especially since Wake exposed it. Maybe other teams will moving forward. But yeah, they just got to, there's no doubt the staff has covered that in their preparation. The players just got to pick up on it and adjust and find ways to guard it. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, I think you just said it. That's great.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
I'm sure Lebo was going, guys, I don't know what else to tell you. We've talked about this a million times and you aren't doing it, so I think that's where his frustration was coming from.
Understandably so, yeah. Now, you talked about Mondo moving really well. On the flip side of that, and I notice a lot of people in the chat are talking about it already, is Pete Nance checked out right after that early in the game foul, was in the locker room the rest of the game. I kept looking for him on the bench, not even to check into play, but just come to sit on the bench. He was gone the rest of the game, had suffered with some back issues on Friday at Pitt, And so I was already looking to see like, hey, is he going to struggle in this game? And clearly he did. The interesting thing was it was Jalen Washington that checked in first, much to the surprise of all of us. Although we've been looking for him to get some more playing time. And I thought, well, okay, here we go. And then unfortunately picks up 2 quick fouls, is able to get back in later in the first half. And had a really nice kind of mid-range jumper, but McCoy got a lot of run in the first half. But one of the big question marks is, what about some of these other guys who, like Dontre Styles, literally didn't play. Tyler Nickel literally didn't play. Puff Johnson played 4 minutes in this game. What? I just don't understand that, quite frankly, at least with Puff. I understand there's some struggles with Dontrez and Nickel, in a tough ACC game is still learning some of those things. But with Puff, 4 minutes, what do you make of that, Pack?
Yeah, I really don't know what to make of it. And I was sitting here, and that's one of the things where I was like, my mind's kind of churning on that. Is it just, Hubert hasn't been happy with the way he's been practicing? But that, to me, I keep going back to that can't really be it, because how competitive he is. The dude brings it every time he's on the court.
Yeah.
Is he the best player in the world? No, but he competes and he plays hard. And so my mind is going to, he struggled with injury. Is maybe there like an underlying thing that's going on that we don't know about, that Coach Davis is just trying to be careful with. And honestly, I don't know that, but that's just what I tend to lean towards.
Speculation.
Yeah. I just tend to lean towards that. So
that's a good call. It's another rough shooting night for Caleb Love. Unfortunately, 3 of 15, did hit that one big three from the top of the key. But man, 7 points on 3 of 15 shooting, which follows up. What did he do? It was bad at Pitt, if I recall. He shot 3 of 9 and 1 of 3 from 3 for 7 points in that game too. So Caleb Love, just 14 total points the last 2 games. Heels are going to need more from him, certainly moving forward. But man, on a night when RJ and Mondo were just filling it up. Goodness gracious, 48 combined points for those guys. Add in Leaky's 18, and you're sitting at 66 points for those 3 guys combined. And so really impressive stuff there. Want to tell you all about BetOnline, and then we're going to take your questions. So if you haven't started dropping your questions in, please go ahead and do that right now. BetOnline is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From pro football to college bowl season to basketball, they've got it all at betonline.net. It's always the fastest and easiest way to get your sports betting info. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about all the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, Pack. Our good friends, everyone's tuning in with us, got all sorts of folks in here. So I'm going to start scrolling my way through, grabbing some questions or some comments for us that we can respond and react to. And so just want to get here's one that I definitely know the answer to. Harry Kilstrom says, Isaac, what state were you born in? Well, Harry, trick question. I was born in Selston, England, which is in Nottinghamshire, where Robin Hood's from. My parents were missionaries, so I was born in England, but grew up actually most of my life on the south side of Atlanta in a town called Stockbridge, Georgia. So that's where I grew up, and great question there.
Isaac, we got a lot of opinions and not as many questions.
I know, it's great. I love it. I want to grab this one. Nintendo Nerd always has some great stuff here, and this is one of the opinions. Says this was Seth's breakout game. In my opinion, he adds so much. He feeds to Bacot and is a fantastic defender. We've already talked about the defense stuff. Pack, you as a coach, what do you see from Seth Trimble, playmaker?
Well, for one, the Nintendo Nerd is correct. He feeds Bacot, and what he does so well, and you guys saw it tonight, after he feeds, he cuts off the post. We call that a Laker cut. man, he just moves well without the ball. He's unselfish. He can get to the paint. He can collapse the defense. I guess if you could say, the weakness to his game is he's not the best shooter in the world, but golly, he just does so much right. And he values the ball. And not just doesn't turn it over really, but he takes good shots and he makes good passes, and he just does all the little things right. And I think it makes him really valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. Pack, trivia question for you. No looking at the box score. Who had the best assist to turnover ratio tonight?
Ooh, well, it wasn't Caleb Love.
And I'll tell you, yeah. And it was not Seth Trimble. That's where it sounds like I might have been leading you, but I'm not.
I'm going to go with Leaky.
It was not. It was Armando Bacot. 5 assists to lead the team. 0 turnovers for Mondo tonight. Great stuff there. Armando Bacot leading the team in assists and assisted turnover ratio. Jonathan Fox, our guy. What's up, Jonathan? Asks, why no T-Nick run in the game? We kind of already talked about that a little bit. It's unfortunate. Pack, anything else you would say on your thoughts about why Tyler Nichols not in this one?
Yeah. To me, the thing that I'm thinking is, for one, I never quite fully understand Coach Davis's sub patterns. So I don't have a great answer for you, buddy. But what I can say is maybe Coach Davis was, especially in the second half at the 14:09 mark, Trimble came in and we were rolling. He goes, you know what? I'm just going to roll with it because it's working. And so maybe that's why. But, we talked about it earlier, Jalen Washington being the first one off the bench, coming in, playing 4 minutes and then not playing again. And then you got DeMarco that comes in and plays about 4 or 5 minutes and doesn't play anymore. And it's just like, I never quite understand it, but I'm glad we seem to use the bench more, just not quite maybe as much as I would have liked.
Yeah. And I will point out, Jalen did come back in actually about the 9-minute mark, came back in, had those 2 fouls, and McCoy was kind of getting just blown by a little bit there in half court. And so Washington came back in, made that nice bucket, but then picked up his 3rd foul and had to come out. And so there was that. Listen, I would be remiss if I didn't put this very important point up here on the stream. I know this is about UNC, but did y'all see the Wolfpack game? And man, they blew the doors off of Duke tonight. And here's the weird thing I cannot figure out the ACC pack. Last night, Virginia loses to Pitt. So Pitt has now back-to-back beaten Carolina and Virginia. And then Miami lost at Georgia Tech tonight. And so those are, you and I have been talking about this, are kind of our top 4 teams in the ACC right now in terms of who we think will compete for those double buys in the ACC tournament. All 4 of them have lost within the last 5 days. And so, man, if you can string a couple wins together in this thing, you are going to find yourself as the ACC regular season champion. Several more T-Nick questions. Keep going through these here. I wish it didn't. So many good things, but a lot of them are the same as what we've already talked about.
If you don't mind me,
go ahead, cut in, Pack, and I'll keep looking through the chat.
The Nintendo nerd, he kind of asked thoughts on Justin McCoy.
Yeah,
and I was actually really pleased with him tonight. And even in the question, he mentions that, obviously there's a lack of ability offensively there, but when he doesn't hurt us on the offensive end, and what I mean by that is he doesn't take bad shots and he doesn't turn it over.
Yep,
he benefits us because he does rebound well and he does play good defensively. So maybe if we can keep getting good, solid spot minutes from him, that'll be a boost for us as far as being able to rest Nance or even play Nance at the 5 and rest Bacot a little bit.
Yeah, I hear that very much. Keep going here. Schwasty says, it sucks that we're at the point where we're celebrating an unranked win. And listen, I hear that. I very much do, right? Like, it's like, yay, congrats, you beat Wake Forest, who's not ranked, 85th at Ken Palm right now. And there is that. But they have been a solid team thus far. We know that prior to this game, they had beaten Duke and Virginia Tech, both at home, but in back-to-back games. And I know Virginia Tech just lost again recently as well. And so I hear that. I totally get what you're saying, Schwasty, but at this point, any conference win to get some movement in the right direction. And listen, Tyree Appleby is no joke. This dude is so legit. If you didn't see him previously at Florida, you missed out. But like, Wake Forest is a good team. Forbes is a great coach. Reeled off 25 wins last year. Of course, who knew that Jake LaRavia was going to turn into what he did? But there we go. Nintendo Nerd always has some great questions. Now, can we play defense like that for a full 40 minutes, please? 3 question marks to show the level of frustration. Pack, is it doable? Can Carolina lock in for that long, or with the lack of bench depth, is it just not possible? What do you think?
Well, that's a trick question. And I'll go into detail about it real briefly. Okay. But, to me, in my opinion, I don't necessarily believe Carolina has a lack of bench depth. I just think we have a lack of defined roles.
Yes.
And oddly put together lineups is what we keep running into. Tonight, we saw something that works. We saw a 3-guard lineup with Leaky and Bacot. If we roll forward with that, which remains to be seen if we will or not, but if we do, I think it's possible to be one of the best defensive teams in the country. There's not many places that have better defenders than Trimble and Leaky on their roster. Just tell them. Yep. There's just not. And if we can continue forward with that, even Dunn is a really good defender.
He is. He's long. Dunn is long.
And Nance obviously can alter shots around the rim. We can rebound well. So long story short, we can guard for 40 minutes really well if we put the team in position to do so. And I think when we're in our 3-guard lineup, with just the way the game is today, it's guard heavy. That just suits us so much better, and I think we can guard better out of it, and we saw that tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a question down here. Where did it go? I just went past it. Yes, right here. ARW1JW5. I always forget what you want me to actually say for your name. What's up? It's good to see you again. Says, I know this won't happen, but Trimble should start for Love. I hear that. Pack, tell me if this is ludicrous. Fine. I don't think it's Love he should be starting for. I think it's Pete Nance he should be starting for. I legit would it be better to have Nance still as the starter and come in with the 3-guard lineup as the game progresses, or is it better to start with that 3-guard lineup out of the gate? I mean, I feel like it's at least worth a try.
Yeah, I do too. And I'm the first person to hop on here and say I understand everybody's frustration with Caleb Love.
Absolutely understandable, totally.
Yes, but I do believe you're correct in as far as starting Trimble over Nance, because that gives us the 3-guard lineup effect, and it puts Trimble and Leaky on the floor together. Just makes us really good defensively. But yeah, I understand everybody's frustration with Love. Trust me.
Man, and I really think a couple other questions in the chat about Jalen Washington. I think they're going to utilize him. Clearly, he's the first one off the bench. They want him to play more. It's just he wasn't going to be able to compete in this game without fouling. Like, if he was back in, he was going to pick up those 2 more fouls in rapid succession. It's just he's not ready. He's going to be duped into fouls by more experienced, more advanced upperclassmen players at this point. And so they just got to find some ways to steal some minutes for him, because I think, especially if Nance is hurt, gonna have to rely on some Jalen Washington. And so got to find some ways to get in there more, because once again, when we look at minutes, Love, Davis, Bacot all played 38 in this one. No good here. Also, I love the back and forth going on in the chat. Everyone, keep going with that. Keep going, looking for some other ones that I want to grab. Harry asks another question. Harry, who had earlier asked where I was born, and is Pack a coach for UNC? Pack, tell us about who you coach, brother.
I'm a high school coach at Carl Albert High School in Oklahoma. I wish I was a coach for UNC. There's no doubt about it. That would be a dream. But no, I coach high school basketball here in Oklahoma, and I just obsess over the Tar Heels in my spare time.
That's right. One of the great, I should add, one of the greatest high school girls teams in the state of Oklahoma. Previously had been, neck. No good. At Brady Manick's alma mater. And so that's kind of where some of that connection begins to come in and some of Pack's inner workings there. Here we go. Question from Jimbo Whitfield. What's up, Jimbo? Question. Do you feel Seth Trimble will be first off the bench for minutes? Hubert has been going with those 3-guard lineups. I mean, based on what we've seen here tonight in this game, Pack, is it a potential that we get to a place where Seth Trimble is like 6th on this team in minutes played?
I think so, but like I said earlier, I just don't understand Hubert's substitution patterns sometimes. I mean, I love the guy to death.
Yep.
I'd play for him in a heartbeat, but I do not understand his sub patterns sometimes. So after tonight, do I feel like it should be solidified? Absolutely. Heck, I feel like he should be starting.
Yep.
But at the very least, a 6th man. But like I said, we'll see. I mean, do you feel the same way? Do you feel like his sub patterns are just awkward or sometimes random sometimes?
I do. And what I'm always trying to process, Pack, is if I feel that way because Coach Williams' substitution patterns were so predictably consistent, or if it's because Hubert's just are all over the place. I don't know what it is. And I'm looking at average minutes played right now. Seth is already 7th on the team. He's just right behind Puff and then the 5 starters. And then DeMarco's the only other one averaging double-digit minutes per game. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's a very legit thing, Jimbo, that when we look up on the last Monday in April as Carolina's cutting down the nets, anybody? Yeah. That we'll look at the minutes and Seth Trimble will be number 6 on the team. Or if things take a wild turn, who knows if he jumps into the starting lineup, that could be really interesting. John Kramer, Jalen Washington's legs looked good tonight. John, why are you hitting on Jalen Washington there? Lay off. No, I'm just kidding. Absolutely. It seems like he trusts his legs. He mixes it up in the paint. And that to me speaks of an athlete coming off of injury who feels comfortable, right? It's that mental hurdle that you have to get over to get back into a game. And it seems like Jalen is starting to do that pretty quickly. Agree or disagree, Pack?
No, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Starting to get just comfortable, get his footing. God, he looks pretty smooth offensively, for somebody that's brand new to the world of college basketball. But kind of like you alluded to earlier, he's just got to get some things figured out defensively. Just being able to move laterally, stay on his feet, and use his length and things of that nature. But yeah, I think he's getting comfortable, really, honestly, quicker than I imagined.
Yeah,
in the few minutes that I've just been able to see him play.
That's the thing. I mean, he's not played more than 6 minutes in any singular game this year, and that was against Citadel. So, there's just not much to really figure out right now. If he went 10 to 15 minutes, would he look that good? Would he be winded? That's tough to know. Speaking of his defense, I forgot to mention this. When you were talking about, I don't know if there's potentially a better individual 2 defenders on a team than Leaky and Seth Trimble. If they're going to be able to do that and have a combined 29 points like they did tonight, I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? Speaking of some lineup things, Todd Pegram says, what's up, Todd? Always good to see you, brother. Any chance we could have a lineup of Davis, Trimble, Tyler Nickel, Leaky, and Bacot at the 5? I don't see why you wouldn't see that at some point this season. I don't think it would be something you would go to regularly. It would have the defense you need. It would certainly have scores in RJ. T. Nick is never afraid to pull the trigger, and Mondo. So, I mean, there is some balance there. The question is, what is the other team like? If the other team's going small, absolutely, you put Leaky at the 4 and do that. What strengths or weaknesses do you see in that quintet, Pat Kilby?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a potential lineup. I mean, because you're looking at, if that's three starters still out there, and then current starters, and then throwing in Seth and T. Nick into the mix. So, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. As far as strengths, I mean, I don't see really much drop off offensively with that group.
No.
The question is, can they guard well enough? And we still have Trimble and Leaky out there together. It would just be, quite honestly, it'd just be whether T. Nick has a favorable matchup or not.
Yep.
But yeah, I definitely
got the height. You certainly got the height at the 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, interesting. In a similar vein to what you're just going, I want to go to this one next from Alex, who says, "Can Leaky give us this kind of scoring punch going forward?" And how possible is it for Leaky to continue what he's doing? I mean, you're not going to be able to depend on Leaky to hit 3 threes a game. That's just not a reality. But could Leaky be a legit 10-point a game scorer the rest of the season?
In my opinion, absolutely.
Yeah. Why?
And here's my deal, and this will be me hopping on my soapbox again. But
do it.
I've been boosting Leaky since day one. But man, I think he's got tools. Obviously, he's proven he can hit the shot when he's open. If you let him sit out there and play horse, he's going to knock it down.
Right.
More often than not, and he's shooting it at what, a 40% clip.
I'll look while you're talking. Yeah. Last time we checked, he was leading the team 39.4% from 3 right now, other than Jackson Watkins 1 for 1, 13 of 33 from 3. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, he's doing that well. And then you saw tonight a couple times, he just put it on the floor and got to the rim and finished. And, he definitely has those capabilities. We've already known that.
Yes. Thank you. That aggression from Leaky. I have been waiting all 5 years now to see more of that. There's no reason he shouldn't use that athleticism to explode to the rim, possession after possession.
And here's the deal. I mean, he's starting to reveal some of this to us. We're starting to see that in his game, but his confidence is skyrocketing. And that's why I think he can give us 10 points a game.
Good word. That's a good word.
Because he's just, I mean, the dude's just playing good basketball right now.
Yep, absolutely. Garrett, what's up, buddy? Garrett Clemens says, any status on Pete Nance? We hopped onto this like immediately after the game pretty much. And so I haven't yet stopped to watch Coach Davis's press conference because I wanted to get in and get this going. So if anyone else watched it already, kindly hop in the chat and let us all know. Because, I mean, clearly – something was bad enough that he's not even out back on the bench as the game carries on. And so, Garrett, unfortunately, no, not yet. But hopefully, as soon as we're done with this, Pack and I are going to record tomorrow's actual podcast. And so maybe we'll have some more info before we hit record on that. So great question, Garrett. And we'll keep our eyes out for that. Man, I know there's a lot of other stuff going on. Oh, Alex says, what about my Leaky question? What did you ask about Leaky? Did we already hit that? Maybe so. Man, good stuff, folks. So many questions. We can't hit them all. We got to get out of here. We got another podcast to record. Folks, thank you so much for diving in. Big time to get a win. Hosting Notre Dame on Saturday, so get ready for that. Coming up on tomorrow's show, Pack and I are going to be unpacking it. We'll have our Four Corners recap. We'll have our Shady stat of the game. Maybe we'll get a Kilby stat of the game too. That'd be pretty rad. And I want to talk more about how important this 3-guard lineup could be, because I think this could be a linchpin, a turning point in the season, similar to Brady Manick's presence last year. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. All sorts of good stuff. Can't wait to see you all. Make sure you tune in for that. For Seth Trimble and RJ Davis and everybody, all the guys on the team, I'm Isaac Shade. This is Pat Kilby. Thanks so much for joining in. We will catch you guys on tomorrow's episode. Until then, you know what's up, Pack.
Yes, sir.
Peace.